What's going on, everyone? Survivor 45 is done. The season is over. The last episode was 2 hours long. We have a lot to talk about. I'm just going to jump straight in. Last episode, Drew went home finally, and I actually saw on Twitter other people were happy about this too. I'm glad it wasn't just me that was really wanting this guy out of here. Not that it really would have changed my opinion, but yeah, I saw that. Anyway, Austin and Dee need to talk, obviously, since she kind of lied to him. But Austin, he's really shocked, taken aback, doesn't take it personally, and I didn't really find this surprising. Austin has seemed so far to be an extremely chill dude, with the exception of denying him food. You take away the opportunity for this man to eat, he will make it his mission to get you out of the game. Anything else? It's all right. Couture also points out, finally, that Austin and Dee, power couple, they're definitely going to the end together. That's 2 guaranteed spots. So, they got to do something about that and break that up. And everyone goes to bed. The next morning, they wake up. They're all sitting on the beach. And they notice there's a lock combination box on the island with a wooden plaque and a note on it. So they walk over to it, and it says there are 3 more stations on the island. Each station has some objects set up. One's got a box of crabs. One's got a pile of coconuts. One's got some stacks of bamboo sticks. And everyone has to run to each station, count the number of items there. The numbers will give them the 3 numbers needed to unlock the lockbox. And if they unlock that, they get an advantage for the next immunity challenge. So after reading that, everyone pretty much takes off. And everyone's moving really fast. Dee and Austin are working together. Everyone's hauling ass through it except for Jake. Jake's taking his sweet time, and he also uses past Survivor winners to remember the numbers for each season, which I thought was incredible. I definitely, as much as I love Survivor and have seen several of the seasons several times, I can't do that. I don't know why I can't do that, but I can't do that. So anyway, Jake is a few people try and they fail and they have to go back. 'Cause the thing is, if you guess wrong, you have to revisit each station before trying again. So you only get 1 attempt per round, and you're running all up and down the beach. So Jake gets it on his first try and wins the advantage for the immunity challenge. And right after this, we go straight into the immunity challenge. So for this one, it does have a reward, which I'll get to in a second. But what they're going to be doing is crawling under this obstacle, kind of like an army crawl thing, dig for a machete in the sand pit. And that will give them a machete to cut a rope with, which will release some sandbags. They gather the sandbags and try and shoot them into 3 baskets. Making the baskets reveals 3 numbers. Those 3 numbers are used to figure out what the combination is for a lockbox. That lockbox also gives them their keys. They take those keys and climb a tower wall thing with a rope and use the keys to unlock their puzzle pieces. They use the puzzle pieces to assemble a 3-section tower, and the first person to assemble that tower wins immunity and the reward. The reward is some steak at Sanctuary with baked potatoes, carrot cake, some wine, all the good stuff. And Jake's advantage that he won is that he starts with 2 of the sandbag baskets made. So 2 of his numbers are revealed. He only has to make 1 shot. Going into the challenge, here's how things kind of broke down. Jake was the first person to solve the combination because he had his advantage, but he forgot his keys when he started running up the tower. So as he was doing that, Austin was able to pull ahead kind of and get to the puzzle first. Everyone gets to the puzzle. Dee was a little late to it. Julie was pretty late to it, but everyone gets there. And it's mainly between Austin and Jake for most of this challenge. But Jake doesn't realize he has 1 piece of the tower puzzle for the last section, just out of his view. And so he can't figure out why he's not getting this tower to stack correctly. And Austin ultimately gets it, wins the reward, and is able to choose 1 person to come with him. And he chooses Jake for what he initially says is because he was so close behind and he hasn't even been on reward yet, which I don't know if that's true. I'm pretty sure Jake's been on at least 1 reward before this. But I also figured, probably like most people, that there was another motive here. And he does say that he was hoping to get some information out of him later, but we'll get to that in a moment. After the challenge, we're back on the beach with the people who didn't win, and Katura talks to Julie, and she's saying, we got to get Dee out. Dee is a problem. She is a strong competitor. She is dominated socially. She is going to win if she gets there. And Julie says, I would love to work with you, but I think we really got to go after Jake. I just don't trust him, and I can't get over this. How is she still stuck on this idea that Jake has to go because he voted for her once or twice. It's insane to me. She has the most one-track mind I have ever seen in Survivor, and I'm not even kidding. Like, she's played pretty well, like socially and in a couple other ways. She's had a solid alliance, but in terms of her voting, I don't understand it. And she's foolish if she thinks she can beat D over Jake, and I'm not 100% sure if she beats Jake. I don't know. The jury was confusing. We'll get there, though. They decide to go talk to D. She agrees that it's got to be Jake, you know, because anyone other than her, and it's someone in her alliance, obviously. But her reasoning is he's a lawyer and he's good at making fire, so he's got to go because he'll be a problem if they wean things down. Cutting over to Sanctuary at this point, Austin admits he was hoping to get some information, which comes true because Jake almost immediately tells him that he has the idol. I don't understand why, other than if you give a person food, especially when they've been low on food for a long time and you're eating together, there's some sort of camaraderie that builds and people are just happy. And when they're happy, they just start sharing things. They just want to like reciprocate some sort of give and take or something. I don't know. But Austin even straight up says, I'm sorry, bro, but why would you tell me this aside in a confessional? Because like, yeah, why would you tell him this? And anyway, but before that, Jake says he wants Julie out because he doesn't see Couture as a threat to win the game. So weirdly, Julie's right, I guess, to be targeting him, but I think Jake's wrong here because based off jury expressions, I don't think they're really feeling Julie based off of what we've seen at past tribals. Also, I think Couture is actually more of a threat to win than Julie, or at least to beat him. I don't know. I think Couture's played a good game. I also think Couture and Jake have had similar games, also similar games to Emily and Caleb, because they were all characters that were on the bottom, on the outs, trying to make things work, always struggling to get him to throughout the entire season. So I don't know. It was just an interesting conclusion to me. Oh, and as they're walking back up to camp, Jake asks Austin, you know, please don't tell anyone about my idol. Cut to Austin immediately telling D about Jake's idol. And because why wouldn't he? And obviously, they know they can't go Jake now, so they agree it's got to be Couture then because she is a big threat to win. I think this is the correct assessment because she has had a pretty hard game. You know, she has been on the right side of a lot of votes. She has not been targeted that much, and that's incredibly hard to do when you don't have the social control in the game that D and Austin have had this entire time. Like, she's just been paving her own way with little to no allies, and if having any allies, it's for the day, it's for the moment, and that's incredible. Anyway, Jake talks to Couture, and he tells Couture about his idol. I don't know why. He's telling everyone about his idol, and it seems really unclear at this time. And so he tells her he's got the idol, and Couture suggests that they pick out D using this idol because everyone's gonna vote for Jake, or you know, they probably will. And so he plays the idol, and then they get D out. Perfect time to get her out. It's a blindside. It's perfect. And finally, someone is realizing that D has this game in the bag. Finally, it's a little late, but at least we got there at all. And then D tells Julie about Jake's idol. So at this point, everyone knows about Jake's idol. And Julie, for whatever reason, I guess pure hope, just doesn't believe that Jake has an idol. She thinks he's lying, and so she says she's going to vote for Jake anyway. This is like a lizard braid decision. I don't even know what's happening here. Julie she will not rest until Jake is out of the game. I don't get it. Austin is thinking about voting Julie out at this point, and D says she's fine with that at this point and understands it's something that they might have to do, but she can't and won't vote for Julie herself because that's a betrayal. And I don't really get that, because if you know that Julie's going to be voted out and you don't tell her, is that not also a betrayal? I don't know. Maybe it kind of depends. Maybe there are certain things that are forgivable in situations in terms of a betrayal and within Survivor, and some situations aren't. They're too far. I just thought this was interesting. I'm not necessarily criticizing the distinction. I just think it's a really interesting one. So now we're at Tribal. And we know that the final 4 Tribal will be a fire challenge to determine who the final 3 are. So, and we know that Austin is immune and that Jake has an immunity that's good for tonight. So we can assume that Austin and Jake are making it in. At least that's the assumption going in. Jeff, once again, asks a player, this time it's Jake, to summarize the game in terms of emotional versus strategy, or is it a bit of both? And I just don't know why we're spending the majority of every tribal council outlining the entire concept of this show like it's season 1 again. I don't know why so much of the tribal footage we've seen has just been emotion hard, strategy important. That's yes. And it's totally valid to have that conversation a couple times throughout any given season. But I legitimately feel like it's dominated tribals for the past 3 or 4 episodes at least, and that's insane. Switch it up a little, please. Like, does anyone remember when Jeff used to ask actual pointed questions about specific situations to specific people, and it would sometimes cause an entire scramble where people would start whispering and make for incredibly dramatic and entertaining television? I really miss those times. Anyway, after this same discussion we've had the past 5 episodes, it's time to vote, because this is the only thing we use tribal for now, is outlining the concept of the show. Right going in, Couture decides at the last second to change her vote because she just gets a feeling that she's really worried it's going to be her. So she changes it from what it was going to be, which was agreeing with Jake to go his route to go with D. So right before Jeff reads the votes, Jake plays his idol, but for Couture. And it turns out he was just lawyering the whole time and making a play real hard where he was just selling like he was going to play it on himself. Figured it was going to be Couture, wanted to save her and control it that way. It was a brilliant move, honestly. But we get the results, and because of Couture's vote switch, Couture gets 1 vote, Jake gets 1 vote, D gets 1 vote, Julie gets 2 votes, and Julie goes home. And Jake is immediately pissed and delivers an iconic quote. I swore on my Nana, what the hell? You're like, you made me swear on my Nana, what the hell? Couture had to swear on his Nana. And she didn't even vote D, so Julie went home. And it was just iconic. It was hilarious. And Julie takes it pretty well, which isn't surprising. She's been a really sweet person this entire time. And yeah, I don't know, like, she just connects with people very well. I think she has love for everyone here. But yeah. And she says as she goes out, Couture, you should go to law school. I know you would do great if you did. And I don't know if I missed a conversation where Couture was saying she was thinking about maybe going to law school, but this comes up a few times in this episode. And it's hilarious that it's coming from Julie, because she is a lawyer, but she didn't tell anyone about being a lawyer. Couture is a lawyer, but didn't tell anyone about being a lawyer. Jake is a prosecutor, but told everyone he was a public defender. Like, they're all lying about it. Oh, and it's also hilarious because not only, like, she's like a well-established civil rights attorney. Like, she's like a badass lawyer. We're back on the beach after the vote because this episode just keeps going since it's a 2-hour finale. And Jake immediately just outlines his entire plan with Couture and was like, why didn't you, like, what the hell, man? And, you know, she explains that she got nervous and, you know, she didn't know that he was going to play his idol to save her. And if she would have had that security, she probably would have committed to it. But she had a bad feeling. So based off her gut, she made a decision. And I totally get why Jake's pissed here, but I also completely understand Couture's logic and how she ended up making the decision she did. It just kind of seems like unfortunate circumstance to me, which sucks. But I don't know. I probably would have done the same thing. We go pretty much straight to the final immunity challenge the next morning. We're just hauling through. And the challenge is to navigate this grid obstacle, you know, with high steps, with a fork carrying a bowl on a long, you know, rod. And you have to stack, 17? Yeah, 17 bowls on this pillar. And the high stepping obstacle is attached to the platform that you're stacking the bowls on. So if you knock it, you could easily knock it over and have to start all over. First person to stack all 17 wins. And they also, in addition to that, get to choose who they're taking with them to the finale and what 2 will be making the fire. The challenge for the most part was pretty close between D and Jake for the majority, but Jake drops around 14 right as he's like getting ready to exit the obstacle to grab his 15th bowl. And that puts D in the lead with only Couture kind of close behind, and she's still 3 or 4 bowls back. Jake then, as he's trying to rebuild, drops again and in a frustrated manner starts stepping just on the obstacle to try and get his bowl quicker, breaks the obstacle and is disqualified from the challenge, which is insane because obviously it's the final immunity challenge, and this is the type of challenge where people have come back from behind all the time. So really not one you want to be DQ'd from. Couture then eventually drops and loses everything, and D wins the final immunity without dropping once. This adds to her edit in so many ways. This is her third immunity challenge win, which officially makes her a challenge beast in my book, which is incredible for her winner's resume. It adds to her entire edit. It's just, dude, it's D. It's D. After the challenge, D basically says to everyone, hey, I have kind of an idea of what I'm doing, but I'm totally open to hear anyone out. So if anyone wants to talk, just hit me up. And immediately Jake wants to talk to her because he's feeling incredibly defeated after the challenge. And, you know, just his entire time of trying things, them not working, not going the way he wanted, plans always falling through. So he requests to make fire specifically because not only does he need something for his resume, but he just wants to prove to himself that he can accomplish something out here. And D agrees to honor this request, which is kind of a nice moment. Couture's then talking to D, and D says, you know, I'm taking Austin with me to the end. Couture like asks her, and she's like, yeah, I'm for sure doing that. And D also straight up admits to Couture, I think you're a threat to beat me in the final. I think you could win, and I suggest you work on your fire. And Couture was basically expecting that and understands and has assumed that she is the one that they want to be eliminated here. And it sucks because her prediction about what would happen a night or two ago with D and Austin is spot on, but she second guessed things, and now she's in this position and she's not feeling great about it. But she has a practice montage that was pretty freaking hype, and I do love how Couture just never gives up. I know like everyone was focusing on Jake, or the edit was focusing on Jake, like not giving up, not throwing in the towel, but Couture has just as much of a story as he does in that regard. Austin and D then talk. Austin says he wants to make fire because obviously he wants it on his resume, but also he doesn't know if Jake is up for the job. And then we cut to Jake practicing. He's not doing good. Austin shows by to coach him. Cries for a little bit. It's not going super well. He goes back to D, tries to tell her, you know, like, Jake's struggling. I think you should really put me in. But D's not feeling that, so she's probably not going to. And now it's time to go to Fire Tribal. So we're at Fire Tribal, and Jeff actually asks some real questions to D about her conversations with. So that was cool. I'm not going to go into the questions and answers because I literally just went through all of that. So it's really just a retelling of the same thing. It doesn't shake anything loose. It's Final Tribal. But this would have been great. A great concept to bring to some other tribals. would have been cool. Anyway, D confirms she's bringing Austin to the final three. You see some mixed reactions in the jury. I'm not really sure what that's about. But for the fire challenge, both players seemed like laser focused going in. It was actually... it was like, I don't know, it was like watching top athletes. But Jake is the first to get a flame going. It's small at first. Couture keeps getting flames kind of started, but she's like folding the, I don't know if it's twine or what it is, some kind of kindling, but she's like folding it and like, it seems like she's smothering it. I don't know if that's true though. I don't know how to make fire. So, but that's like what my non-fire making person was thinking. Anyway, Jake does eventually win the final immunity challenge. Couture is the final member of the jury. And Jake also tells her, if you decide to be a lawyer, you would be amazing, which is pretty funny. And then Couture admits right here that she is a lawyer to everyone. And you can kind of see in this moment that everyone on this season, at least right now, post-merge, the jury and the players, they all have love for each other. And I think that's super nice. I do miss the days when we had villains. And I don't think villains need to be actually bad people or do actually mean or evil things to be villainous. But we just didn't really have anyone villainous on this season, at least not in my opinion. Everyone, I don't know. No one came out to me as a clear villain. There were just people who did things I didn't like, but that doesn't make them a villain. The next morning, the final three get a big fresh food breakfast, which is nice. And they just kind of discuss the jury members and reflect on them as players, which I assume was prompted by producers. I really missed the days when they would go like on a little, see like up for them. I always thought that was, but I don't know. It was the same concept, just done differently. The final tribal, I was disappointed. I had somehow convinced myself based off jury reactions that was going to be incredibly juicy and a little more like the first tribal council that we ever saw. And it definitely wasn't. And while that's definitely probably healthier for the players and stuff, it was not as great. A couple highlights I will point out though is Drew's question was essentially a humble brag, and it was so freaking gross again. It was just like, D and Austin completely just ignoring Jake, which that kind of checks out, but like no one quite understands how brilliant our core 4 alliance is. Can you explain to them why it was so successful for you guys once you finally paired up with me and Julie? Which, like, what the hell, man? Also, what was ironic is this question about, could you tell everyone how amazing our alliance was, caused quite the back and forth and debate between D and Austin in front of the jury. It wasn't that juicy of a back and forth, but like it was the only question where people were really starting to nitpick each other's answers and go like back and forth. And it was the one that was supposed to show off how close they were. Emily asked D for an example of a decision she made that was logic based and not emotion based. I don't really know where that was coming from. I can't think of a specific example, but I'm almost positive with the way D played this game, there literally had to be logical decisions factored in terms of like voting people out and stuff. Like at least the vote for Kendra, whatever. Anyway, she explains that for her logic is informed by her emotions. And I've always personally held this viewpoint, and I don't understand why more people don't do. So I thought this was an awesome answer because emotions are data points. They don't mean nothing. They are completely relevant to any given situation in terms of contextualizing a person's perspective, their why they are saying things in the manner they are, you know, like their demeanor. Like it communicates a lot. But I don't know. So I thought that was a cool answer. I wanted to highlight that. Kelly asked for like, you know, what's a way you guys used advantages properly? And during this conversation, Emily points out that Austin could have saved Drew with the idol. And this is where D brilliantly points out, you know, like she didn't tell Austin about that vote because he would have been saved by Austin. So she like takes credit for that officially in the jury's eyes. Pretty smart. And then Jake gets asked the same question, and here he admits it was a calculated plan to draw the attention to himself in terms of the idol and then play it on Katura. Would have been a great play. But like, yeah, that's just the confirmation that it was calculated the whole time going in, which explains why he was telling everyone about his idol. It completely contextualized that. I have to wonder if he made that decision and pivoted to make that decision after he had already told Austin because he realized he kind of messed up there. I don't know, but it could have been great. Julie then asked Austin and D if like they actually like each other and if being together kind of changed their game. And they both confirmed it was real, but didn't really start up until like 2 weeks in, which explains why this didn't dominate the edit. And also kind of makes it feel more natural, but I don't know. Not to say that anything that has happened previously wasn't natural, but like it just felt more like real life, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, Emily points out that like Austin told D about Julie going out, and that easily could be interpreted as like a moment of weakness for him. And D then admits that she lied to Austin and did tell Julie because she told Austin, I didn't tell Julie about that vote. I don't know how she found out. And that vote ahead of time, and that's how Emily got blindsided. Which two things. Emily confirmed she was coming after D right after this. Again, not logically based. But also waiting to drop this bomb until right now, I think was the best way. I expected Austin to do this with his idol, his sandwich idol. I think this plays so well, like holding on to something until final jury and then revealing it. If Emily would have managed to do that, she might not have gone out so quickly because bragging about that Bruce vote, man, whatever. Oh, last thing I'll say about the final tribal in terms of jurors speaking. We didn't get to hear from Bruce like at all. He said like one thing during someone else's question briefly. And yeah, he said, oh yeah, I did have an idol. And D was like, damn, Bruce should have played it, which were like brutal and iconic. But why didn't we hear from Bruce? Bruce made the jury. Bruce was a big part of this edit up until the point he was voted out. Why did we not get to hear Bruce's question? What is that? I felt robbed on his behalf. Like, I would be so upset. Are you kidding me? I don't know. I thought that was messed up, dude. Going into the winner vote now. For the first time going in, I actually thought all three players were going to get some votes, especially because Caleb, the first vote, says Jake as he starts his vote. And we get the votes, though. And D gets 5. Austin gets 3. D's the winner, not by as much of a margin as I would have expected if we're going to go the not all three players get votes. I guess Caleb saying Jake didn't mean anything, which is kind of messed up. And then they go straight into the reunion. Can I just say, the producers realizing that doing the after show right there live, saves them so much money and time is like the worst thing that's ever happened to the show. The players hate it, the viewers hate it, and I'm pretty sure, like most decisions nowadays, the only person or people who like this decision are the executive producer, Jeff Probst. Like, other than like saving them time and money, it's a universally hated thing. The players don't like it because they don't get enough time to adjust to things. They don't get to see the edit and reflect on it. It makes for the reunion show to have way less interesting questions and topics come up because there is no like, what have you been up to since then? I don't know. You don't get to see everyone like all dollied up and how they're looking after, you know, being on Survivor. It robs us of so much that we used to get in the old reunion shows. But they don't have to rent out the space. They don't have to do the initial time slot. They don't have to wait. There's so many reasons, I think, why they've started doing this, but it just sucks. And it sucks because we all say it sucks and no one cares. I'm glad Dee won. I think she definitely deserved it, especially out of like the final three the most. She had like one of the most impressive games this season. And I think one of the most impressive games I've seen in a while in terms of like her social domination and just like navigation of things. I mean, like the fact that people didn't even realize she was a threat until way too late really speaks to how well she navigated this season. It's incredible, dude. I remember saying within the first third of this season, like, wow, she seems to be influencing a lot of the votes and having like a lot of say. And like that never stopped. That at no point was that not the case until she won the game. I do think Jake deserved at least one vote because I do feel like his from the bottom scrambling was low-key next level. He somehow stayed alive each time, and his ability to keep hope alive, him and Couture's honestly, was incredible. Obviously, Couture wasn't in the end, so she couldn't get a vote. But Jake should have gotten one. I don't know. I know it doesn't mean anything if you get one vote, but dude, come on. This was probably one of the better seasons I've seen in a while, but I still found myself frustrated with some of the twists. And like many of the other viewers, I wonder if producer influence is starting to get a little out of hand. And I know people in the past have said that the extra producer influence was brought in because Jeff was losing his favorites too soon in seasons, but I honest to God think more often than not, it has to do with getting the best edit, getting the best ratings, and also saving some money. And maybe there's some overlap in there. Maybe favorites are picked based off those things, but that's what I think is happening. Overall, though, I am pretty happy with the winner. I think the season was pretty good overall. I'm super stoked that the auction is back. That's classic. I really wish they would go back to the regular reunions so we could give the players a little more time to just like adjust to who won and also reflect on the edit at all. But, you know, I don't know. I just think it's kind of shitty to do to the final three, but whatever. I also wish the twist didn't at times just feel so shoved in or pointed towards specific outcomes. But it is what it is, and I'm still totally gonna watch season 46. So clearly, I don't have that big of a problem with it. But I am still going to complain because at the end of the day, I am a content creator, and this is what we do best. So yeah, wow, I actually got through this way quicker than I thought I would. I just kind of hauled through it. I know I just kind of like fire hose information, but I didn't want this video to be like an hour long. So yeah, that was Survivor 45. Survivor 46, we didn't really get much information on it. I was going to like maybe talk about it a little, but we just really didn't get enough information for me to feel like I can say anything confidently. I'm totally going to watch it. I don't 100% know if I'm going to do another video series on it. I might. Let me know in the comments if you guys want another one of these. I thought it was kind of fun. It was a little bit of a chore at times, but I don't know. I did have fun overall. I've been thinking about doing this for other TV shows. I'm in a transitionary state with content right now. I'm thinking about some other videos I can make. I have them over here on my whiteboard. But yeah, that's what we got. So let me know what you guys thought about this season. Let me know if you think Jake should have got a vote. Let me know if you're also upset that Bruce didn't get to talk because that was messed up. But thanks again for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you later, Warehouse. Catch you on the flip.